Greetings and good day to our dear followers and students. We are starting the third session of the 3Ds Max training package. Okay, we've reached this point where we first explained the different parts and a series of shortcuts we mentioned. And starting today, we want to draw some shapes and get a brief introduction to the modifier stack. Let's go to the modifier stack and see what it has for us. Okay, this top section has a few options. The first is Create. The second is Modify. The third is Hierarchy and Motion, Display, and other sections that are under this group. Each of these can have other groups. For example, this first section, Create, itself includes several options like geometry, shape, light, camera, and so on. And each of these, depending on the capabilities they offer us, they themselves might be divided into different sections. Like this geometry, if this dropdown is opened, it has different sections from which you can make the necessary uses. Okay, to get acquainted with these sections, I will just give a few examples for you. Regarding the rest, first, I will mention the important ones, and second, that for familiarization, you can try each of them and see what's inside. Okay. This geometry has a standard section and an extended section, and includes doors, windows, and AEC as well. And also, stairs or other parts like Corona and V-Ray, if you have them installed, or Arnold, which is installed on these versions, is available for you in this section. And what are standard primitives? As you can see, box, cone, sphere, geosphere, cylinder, tube, pyramid, torus, and other options like plane and teapot. These are usually in older versions too. In this new version, I see Text Plus has been added, which I think is not present in previous versions here. Well, it doesn't matter much because we have it elsewhere and could have used that Text Plus to do so. Well, I'll start with box first. Box. Well, it's naturally a box, meaning a cube like this. I'll delete this. See, when I click on box, it turns blue, and my cursor in the scene turns into a plus sign, ready to draw a box. I click and hold to the base of that box. And when I release the click, it's ready for me to specify my height with another click. And then with the next click, the box creation process is complete. And other options are similar. I'll mention here about the box that if you look at the options that are shown to you, you can set it to cube or box. What's the difference between cube and box? If we set it to cube, it will draw it for you with just one click and drag. You've surely understood that it creates a cube with equal sides for you. And when I right-click in the scene, after any operation, I exit the command, and you see that the box is no longer blue. Well, what is sphere? It's a sphere, and geosphere is also a sphere. But what's the difference? We have an option here, if you remember, in the clay section, actually. I don't remember if I explained it or not. I think I didn't explain it, called edge face, that if you tick it, these edges show you the volume in the scene. See? The difference between the constituent edges of geosphere and sphere is now completely clear. And its shortcut key is F4. F3 is also the shortcut key for wireframe. If I press it, it goes to wireframe mode, and again it returns. So F4 for edge face and F3 for wireframe. Okay, cylinder I click and hold to create the base of a prism, and the next click for the height. I right-click. Tube, I click and hold, and I draw the first circle. Then the second circle. With the second click and with the third click, I give it height. Torus with the first click for the first circle, and with the second click for the second circle's radius, and a donut it creates for me. Pyramid, you definitely know what it looks like. The base of the pyramid, and then the next click for the height. Drag and click. Plane, as is obvious, is a plane. And teapot is this special 3D style max, which is a teapot. I mentioned torus, and I didn't mention this cone. With the first click for the bottom base, and with the second click for the height, and the third click for the top base. Okay, if we want to give more explanations about standard primitives, for example, in the box section, I mentioned the cube and the box. In the keyboard entry, we can enter the x, y, z dimensions ourselves, meaning first for the center of the object, and then we enter the length, width, and height ourselves, and by pressing the Create button, it creates it for us in the scene. Or, if we have created a box and it was in cube mode, we can come here to the Parameters section and change its parameters or increase its segments. The segments are these edges that are black here, and you see them in others. Now, if I want to change the length, width, and height of this as well and have edges, look here. I'm adding them and I have them in different parts. Usually in all these volumes, there are options for naming, keyboard entry, and parameters that you can use. Work with it and get familiar with it very easily. I don't think I need to take up too much of your time explaining these things. In general, as you saw, and if you work with it a little, you will definitely understand that each option is. I will try to go through it more simply and quickly. But my request from you is to work with these and become familiar with them. How each of them is created and how their options work. Here, you can definitely name it whatever you want to set. I'll name it Box 005, for example. Okay, the next category is extended primitives, which also gives us a set of shapes, but their shapes are more complex, not like the initial shapes. For example, this hydra, which you can also change its shapes, see that what shapes it gives you. Change the sizes and see what changes are made to it. Or reset it and return it to its original state. Let its vertices be at the center, and side. or basic. I mentioned these, and you should work with them and understand what their function is. It's not a very difficult or hard task. There's no need for us to spend a lot of time and training on this now, because it's very easy. You can interact with it and know what each of these does. This chamfer box is the same box with its corners beveled. You can create a box here, and then the next click is for beveling the corners and edges. The doors section creates doors for you. In the state, for example, pivot. You can even set its openness or closeness here by degrees. And you can even later come and animate it. You can change its different parts. Put a grid on it and change its sizes. And in short, you can do various things with this. Undefined doors. And it also has a sliding mode. With a little practice, you'll fully understand what these are. An interesting feature that doors and windows have in 3ds Max is, for example, I'll create a fixed window here. Doors and windows have a property. If you go to the AEC Extended section, you'll see it has placed a wall for you. If you create a wall and then place a window on that wall, 3ds Max itself will open up that part of the wall and place the door or window in it. Let me do this for you. We usually don't use these options and build the window ourselves, but now allow me to create a fixed window here. If it's placed inside the wall, so you see, it opens up the wall itself and places the door or window inside the wall. Inside the wall is placed. And if I create a door, it's the same. You see, it opens up the wall itself, recognizes it, and creates the door. And you can make changes that you want on the door or that window. And in the same way, a door is created. Very good. This is about the objects within the geometry section. In shapes, we also have shapes like line, rectangle, meaning a rectangle, which only create 2D shapes for us. Be careful not to create lines in the 3D Max environment in perspective. Because you might place a point in space and it might not lie on a plane, and it could cause problems for your work. Shapes include line, rectangle, ellipse, meaning oval, or circle, circle, arc, donut, and star and text, which are also here now. We can click and write something, or section and other items that we will address and use as needed. We will reach them and use them. We also have lights and cameras, which we will explain to you in future sessions. We'll give work with these volumes. With these, create shapes and see how they are made. With the volumes that are in 3ds Max are made, get acquainted so that when you want to create a volume, you know the fastest way to reach that volume using which of these shapes. Of course, most of the time we use basic shapes to create or use lines to create volumes. And perhaps one of the reasons is that we have used all the volumes of 3ds Max, much less, and we are not very familiar. But anyway, as much as we can, we will try to start the work from simpler stages so that we can complete our project sooner. I wish you success. Get acquainted with these volumes so that, God willing, in the next session, we will move on to the continuation of the lesson and the continuation of the topics of the training package. Have a good day and goodbye.